So I've been digging around the deep dark corners of the internet to unearth videos of your favorite guitar players before they were famous. And I gotta say, I think these are some of the coolest videos that I've ever come across. Let's dive in. First, we've got Stevie Ray Vaughan performing at a small bar in 1979. Let's check it out.
She was walking on down the street. You hurt me so bad. Made my poor heart skip a beat.
This is amazing. Like, it's all there. This is not a case of seeing potential in an unrefined talent. This is a musical giant just ready to be discovered. And it wasn't like Stevie was a kid here. He would have been in his mid-20s and had been playing on the professional circuit for about 10 years now. I did a bit of research. This specific venue is called the Rome Inn, which started as a restaurant before they began hosting live music. And I guess Stevie and Double Trouble had a residency there, which just helped them further solidify their skills. And this is still 4 years out from when his debut release Texas Flood was recorded, which turned him into the legend we know today. And it's 6 years removed from when they recorded the same song, The Sky Is Crying. And what blows me away is just how dialed in this all is. Like, you can tell Stevie is so good. He could do this in his sleep, even at this early stage. All those things that I love about Stevie are ever present. The raw emotion, the 200% intensity that he puts into his instrument, the vocals, the groove, the tone, the magic was just waiting to be discovered. Nobody played guitar like this at the time. I can only imagine stumbling into this venue and seeing this. It would have been like a religious experience. Now, quickly, we got a special deal going on right now. My 3-course soloing bundle is on sale for only $14. Included is my course, The Craft of Soloing, where we spend time on musical storytelling. See, everyone can play scales, everyone can play notes, but true musical expression comes out when you start thinking in a bit of a different way. In The Craft of Soloing, we're gonna get you telling stories with those solos. You also get the style of soloing, and in this course, we look at the fun stuff, the cherry on the cake, the ways that you can drop jaws and add a new sense of style into your solos. As well, I've also enclosed my course, The Guide to Practice, as a bonus, and in these short lessons, I show you one of the most important things a musician can learn, how to have a healthy and productive relationship with practicing. And of all the courses that I put out, people say that these ones are the most fun. These are the ones that have that immediate impact. You start thinking in a different way and it pays off instantly. The sale won't last long. Grab these courses while you can for only $14 when you use the link in the description. Anyways, let's get back to it. All right, moving on, we have the Red Hot Chili Peppers guitarist John Frusciante at 17 years old. So like, I'm a Frusciante guy. Big fan. I've been deep down the JF rabbit hole. I had no idea. If you gave me 100 guesses as to who this is before I read the caption, I would not have got it. I feel like this man has lived the equivalent of 7 entire musical lives. This is just straight up 80s shredding. It's like he's a disciple of Eddie Van Halen, and he's just like surprisingly good at it. What's crazy is I hear next to none of this stuff in the music that I associate with John, which is Mother's Milk with the Red Hot Chili Peppers onward. It's a huge library. You don't hear this. To know that this was somewhere within him, but he would opt for a simpler approach that would suit a song is really a testament to John Frusciante's musicianship. Like, if I could do that at 17, back in the 80s, all I would ever want to do is just impress people with those chops. Like, I think this is a very ego-driven style of playing, but to let that down and to pursue something greater and elevate the songs, like, that's a hard thing to do. I really think most guitarists with this in their toolbox would have done that kind of thing all over Give It Away, but John Frusciante does it, and the song is better off because he didn't. And even if we're just looking at this performance alone, like, this is very impressive that a 17-year-old can execute something like this so well. All right, this next one, I'm not going to introduce it. I think it's more fun to be surprised by it. You'll see what I mean.
I'd like to call up someone you've never met before. Oh, no, wait, he's been up here before. John Mayer, ladies and gentlemen. John Mayer! Come on!
Rescue me before I fall into despair.
Obviously, This is John Mayer. I'm guessing this is like 1997 after he dropped out of Berkeley. So he would have been like 19, maybe 20, playing alongside Clay Cook, who he wrote a number of his early hits with. I'll tell you, I've played so many venues like this where it's you, someone else, putting everything into these songs that you've come up with for 5 people and the bartender. Every musician's got to pay their dues here, even John Mayer. And don't get me wrong, John is good here, but this isn't like the Stevie Ray Vaughan video where you're like, oh, this is John Mayer as good as he's ever been. Like, you can still tell there's a lot of growth to be had. One of the first things that stood out to me was the vocals. Like, it seems like he hadn't started doing that breathy singing thing yet that he later became known for and then eventually stopped doing. But, you know, there's another video from this show where he does some guitar feature stuff. You should check that out. And so when I hear that, I do hear like an unrefined version of some of his unique guitar greatness. Like that groovy finger thing that he's doing, it still needs a bit of time to broil, but in like 7-ish years later, Continuum is gonna come out, and that style is gonna take the world by storm. And you know, I find myself thinking when I watch this that I have seen better 19-year-old unknown musicians than John at this point, but what we don't get with these videos is the songs that he had written. Like at this point, he had written some genuinely amazing songs. It wasn't the singing, it wasn't the charisma, it wasn't the guitar playing, it wasn't the looks that got John Mayer to where he is now. It's all those things on top of those incredible songs that he wrote. And if I had seen this performance of Message in a Bottle, I would have been like, oh yeah, good, well done. But if I was at a songwriting circle and heard John Mayer say, hey, I'm about to play you one of my songs, and he played No Such Thing, it would have been like, oh my God, this guy is going places and he's going there fast. And hey, I'll quickly mention, I've got a free ebook, the Samurai Guitar Reference Guide, that goes over a number of things that every guitar player really should know. It's completely free and you can download it using the link in the description. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. All right, the biggest and greatest band that ever existed. Apparently this is their first video, but ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles. All right, so this is 1962 here in a church. I guess there were gigs in churches in the 60s. We're about 2 years before the Beatles played the Ed Sullivan Show and completely took over the world. And the first thing that stands out is just how tight and how good they sound here. So the band would have formed 2 years prior to this, and they would have already done that stint in Hamburg, Germany by this point, where they were performing for hours and hours day after day. And you just don't get to sound this good without putting in that massive amount of time that they did. There are certain lessons that you can only learn on the bandstand, and clearly they'd learned it by this point. I'm also pretty sure this is Ringo Starr, who would have replaced Pete Best. It sounds like Ringo at least, but this is the Beatles as we know them. And it's cool because the first clip, we have Paul singing and it sounds like Paul. Then we have George singing and it sounds like George, but all the fame and the accolades and that godlike status that we've granted to these 4 guys, it's not there yet. These are just 4 ordinary dudes from Liverpool. They're kind of dressed like 1950s rockers here, which makes sense because those were their biggest influences. It was before they discovered the whole Beatles suit thing. Even then, they just seemed very special, especially considering what other music was going on back in 1962. All right, well, the Beatles are a tough act to follow, but here's Green Day from 1990. I don't know about you guys, but I love these kind of videos. Like, I find this stuff to be so cool. So this is 4-ish years before they blew up with Dookie. I think they're probably like 18-ish here. It's not as refined as it would get, but like I'm impressed by how tight this is. Like this all seems easy for them. They don't look like kids fumbling around on their instruments. It seems to flow very naturally, which is the sign of a professional. And I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but man, you know what really stands out? Even though I only would have been 3 in 1990, this all just looks a lot closer to the world that I grew up in than the world now. Like there's a girl dancing like a weirdo, and she's not worried about being cringe, getting filmed and going viral. Nobody's on phones. This music is still cool and fresh. This video reminds me of something that feels like a lifetime ago, but just also I remember so vividly. I don't know if every generation does this. Everybody gets to their midlife point and they start saying this about their childhood, but man, the air just seemed lighter back then than it does now. And watching this brings me back to a lot of things that I wish we didn't lose. Were these the glory days? They certainly were the green days. Okay, moving on. As far as I can tell, this is the first video of Jimi Hendrix. It's from 1967. Here we go. I don't think those of us who didn't experience this firsthand can really grasp what this was like. It's the musical equivalent of taking an iPhone back to 1985 and showing it off back then. And watching this, like this is the Hendrix we know and love. It's only a few months before the release of his debut album, but he's playing to a small room of like 100 people here. But the sounds he's getting out of his instrument, the flair, the performance, it's all there, and you gotta remember the closest thing to this back then was probably the Yardbirds. And in watching this video, you can see the trajectory of the electric guitar. You can see the future before it even happens. Hendrix is this nuclear explosion that goes off in the musical landscape. He diverts the entire direction of our instrument, and to get a glimpse of that 3 months before the detonator actually goes off is just fascinating. So let's watch a little bit more here. How cool would it have been to have seen this for the first time in 1967? There is a story of Clapton seeing Jimi for the first time and being completely floored. And if this video is any indicator, it's clear why that was the case. And last for today, we have 13-year-old Derek Trucks. And be warned, if you want to feel good about your own guitar playing, you probably shouldn't watch this one. I've talked about this video before. This is like the ultimate humbler for me. I'm feeling good about my guitar playing, getting a little fat and sassy, but then I remember that this was Derek Trucks at 13. His phrasing is so mature, the touch is incredible, and what really stands out is the control he has, and that signature tone is still there. Like this kid is 13, but it sounds like he's lived 80 plus years as a Delta bluesman. There's just such a profound element of taste that already exists here. And I've seen a bunch of child prodigy videos, and they're always impressive, but this video just makes me want to keep listening. His musicianship already shows such maturity, and the crazy thing is, he keeps on getting so much better than this. But you see, those foundational things are so strong. His licks aren't as advanced or impressive as they turn into, and I mean, it's crazy that he can even milk more emotion out of his guitar now than he did then, but he does. But like the sense of rhythm, the touch, the taste, it's all there, and all those things are the groundwork for the genius of Derek Trucks now. I will forever be in awe. Derek Trucks is one of my all-time favorites, and no one does it like he does. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Those are your favorite guitar players before they were famous. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. We can always do it again. I can always put my investigative skills back to work and dig up some more of these. Remember, you can grab my 3-course soloing bundle for only $14 when you use the link down in the description. As well, you can also pick up my free ebook down there. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, look after yourselves, look after each other, look after the planet. I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I'll see you again soon.